everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Got everybody here. How's it going, guys?
Oh, I'm beautiful. I was telling Pat, I guess earlier, that yellow shirt he has on, it reminds me, and I don't know, and maybe it's a Navy t-shirt. We used to have our Navy PT shirts where they look just like that. It looks kind of weird. But anyway, I don't know if you had those type of PT shirts when you were in the Navy PAGs, or if you had different ones.
We did not have those PT shirts.
Really?
No bright yellows, but we were on board a ship, so nobody cared. Bright yellow would have been like too fluorescent at night. So,
Yeah.
they said a lit cigarette out on a deck can be seen for 6 miles.
It's true. When I used to go have cigarettes, I would go out out on the sponson deck, and there'd be a long line of the cherries, and you just follow the cherries until they stop, and that's your place in line. Just don't go over the sponson because that would be terrible. That'd be a terrible.
Gotcha. So, well, John let it out of the bag yesterday. I was at a NASCAR race.
Yep.
And it was so in layman's terms, this was the third NASCAR race I've ever been to. The first NASCAR race, I was 16 years old and I worked in the infield, so I didn't really get to see the race. It just heard the race the entire time, and we were trying to do anything we could because we were in the infield to not hear it. So that was part of that. The second race, it was at Dover Motor Speedway, and it was on a Monday because it got rained out on Sunday. And the difference between Sunday and Monday in NASCAR is
night and day.
Monstrous because there's nobody there. So it wasn't anywhere near the same that time.
Yeah.
Yesterday, if anybody has saw me on my Instagram, I got painted up for the game or for the race.
Yeah, I saw
I don't
that.
know anything. I don't know anything about racing at all. So it's like, okay, what do I paint up as? Well, I paint up as a checker flag. So I did the checker flag, and then put like ads on my head. I had the Valvoline, I had STP, and 76, like ones that were simple because I didn't know, like I'm not an artist, you know what I mean? So I don't want to try to paint something on there and screw it up.
Plus, but you did a good job, though.
You got to do it backwards.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing you got to do. It's not simple at all. It's just not simple to try to do that when you're looking in a mirror and trying to figure it out backwards and stuff like that. So either way, neither here nor there. And I go there and I got to do everything. Like it was the first time I had the ability to kind of I took a tour of the facility. I wound up upstairs where the spotters are on the roof. Nice. I watched, them pit really quickly. I didn't go into the pits beforehand, but I was into the pits after the race and in the winner's circle. And awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm watching. It was Danny Hamlin.
Yeah,
that won the race. Yep. That won the race. Behind, and the number 19 car who was on his team. I mean, my favorite number is 19, so the number 19 getting real close was nice, but obviously didn't win. My other favorite number is 20, and he was the one that wound up getting in accidents all day long. So, but really an awesome experience. It really was a lot of fun. Like it's like I go to a lot of sporting events and I do a lot of things and I've had the opportunities to do a lot of cool stuff. This was one of the cooler things that I've done in sports. It was just, it was a lot of fun to be a part of different things. I mean, I took a picture with the trophy. It's like I watched. So the hysterical thing, I didn't post this video yet because I have to edit it together. But at the end of the race, Danny Hamlin is taking pictures with everybody, and everybody comes up and he does the pictures. And then they bring out the hats. and they sat there, and he had to take pictures with about 45 different baseball hats on.
Oh,
Literally.
Yeah,
They
all
had
the
it. So
sponsor hats.
the
Yeah.
first one, picture, holding up 4 fingers right next to the trophy. Take it off. Next one, put it on, hold up 4 fingers, and put it next to the trophy. Take it off. Next one. It was like the video I did, I started it. I'm like, here's is what happens. He gets to take all these pictures with all these things. It's kind of cool. And then I'm like, then it's going to say 2 hours later. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it'd be like, he's still taking pictures with the hats.
Yep.
But he also gave us gave us all a quick selfie. So it was really kind of cool to see all that and be a part of all that, and watch the interviews, watch it all happen in Victory Circle.
Yeah.
Like that was the fun part about that, and being able to get up there, take a picture with the trophy, and doing my thing and stuff like that, and really getting in all of the different spots. I have to give a shout out to Beasley and WMMR and 97.5 for allowing me to get up into their suites, which saved me from melting all day.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
And it wasn't as loud as I thought it would be. I can imagine if I was out there the entire time that I would have had to do something better for ear protection, but I was out there for like a few minutes, really loud. It's amazing when you're right up close to the track, you feel the power in your chest. Like you feel the power of those engines. Now, you know a lot more about this than I do there, Bo. So it's like this was, and the other thing is that Ricky Bottalico was there with me, and he was an all-star professional pitcher. You know what I mean? And he's been to Super Bowls. He's been to, World Series. He's been to Stanley Cups and NBA championships. And he's like, he was geeking out on NASCAR. And it's kind of cool when you see that. Like, it's like it shows that they are just like the rest of us. I mean, I got to imagine that athletes, this is why athletes and musicians get along so well together, because they get to geek out on each other's talents, and that was kind of the fun thing to watch. It was like, I'm not, like I said, I could care less about the cars. I had no skin in the game, you know what I mean, in terms of somebody who I wanted to win. I'm not gambling on it, so it's not anything like that whatsoever. It becomes just a matter of, okay, this is kind of cool. And the fact that they had 2 overtimes. Who knew there was an overtime in NASCAR?
Yeah, now if there's a wreck right there, they do the green, white checker.
Right, that's what it was. And it's so they will not finish, and it rained, and then we had to take a 45-minute delay to dry off the track. It was like so we got it all in a very, in one race at Dover, and it really was awesome. And I will tell you that if you have not had the experience of going to a NASCAR race, I suggest trying to get to one. You know what I mean? Just, you got to try it once. Make sure you wear ear protection if you're outside, because not everybody's going to get the access that I'm going to be able to get. But it was truly incredible and a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. I'd like to do that. I've never been to a NASCAR. I've always wanted to go. I love cars. I like going fast, and I've always kind of wanted to see what it's like to go to a racetrack. We had DFW, or that Dallas Motor Speedway. One of these days, maybe I'll make it up there. But I like to go to Daytona. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Daytona
would be cool.
Daytona would be fun. Indianapolis 500, I think, would also be kind of cool to do.
Yeah.
I guess, what's it? Bristol, do they turn right?
No, Bristol is a half-mile track. It's
a constant circle.
Yeah, I mean, those cars get beat up on that track because you got a, half-mile track with 43 cars. Like, it does not go exceedingly well. That is absolutely the race of, attrition. Like, if you survive the race, you have a shot to win.
Right.
Now,
And that's kind of exactly what happens here at Dover because it's a mile oval.
yes.
You know, it's like so it's they start to spread out and they're just going around in circles. But it's a fast race because of that, so they can get through pretty quickly. But the fact that they had with 14 laps left, they had a red stop because of the rain. You know, and so they dry the track. They take all the rubber off the track because the first 35 laps, I've learned a lot of different things. First 30 to 35 laps, they go to a caution, and that's just because that's all the rubber that's on the road. Now you get to figure out what your tire is able to do and switch tires so that you can get the best traction. It's interesting because you don't ever know that until you actually have somebody explaining it to you. And that
Yeah.
was the good thing about yesterday is that I had somebody explain to me what's happening. Like, why are there wasn't a wreck. Why are they switching to a yellow flag? And then, of course, they had the Eagles there to
It's
do
to keep it
this.
from being a wreck.
Bruh.
And then Big Dom got to do the green flag, which was kind of awesome too, um, to start the race. Uh, and it literally was fun because, like I said, it had overtime. Well, I never knew that there was an overtime. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, they went to a yellow flag, and it's like, okay, the moment they go to a yellow flag, you got to do it. It switches back to 6 laps and 5, 4, 3 laps, and then because they got to do. Hey, you got one more lap with the yellow. They put out the one and just kind of hold the yellow flag furled up so that they do that. And then, of course, the white flag means 1 lap left, and then the checker flag. So, again, things that you would not know unless you know. And then, of course, they have stage 1 where they slow down. And in Dover, they have the pits open and the pits closed.
Mhm.
And if you pit when it's closed, you can't get anything done. So, like during the 14 laps, before the 14 laps, they're all on pit road, but they can't do anything in their pits. They have to stay. The car's got to remain exactly the same, so
Yeah,
that when it's
they treat it like a red flag. So you can come in and stop, but you can't do anything.
right.
Huh.
So, and I would have thought like, hey, that's the time to change your tires.
Oh, so when they're under red flag, you're not allowed to change tires or fuel or anything.
You're not allowed to
Okay.
touch your car in any way.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, and what they do, and Dover has, is times when it's open and it's closed.
Right.
So there are times when you cannot touch your car or go into the pits.
I think every track has that once per race. I don't know like at what stage is that, but there's always one part at most races where pit road is closed.
Usually it's coming off of a caution
Mm-hmm.
because they need the safety vehicles to clear out before cars start coming in. So typically when a caution comes out, pit road is a lot of times closed for those first cars that are coming by because they need the safety cars to be able to get out. So
That makes sense to me.
So there's actually a lot of times during a race that pit road would be closed.
So especially if there's a lot of accidents. There wasn't a lot of accidents. It was mostly a clean race until, interestingly enough, the number 20 car, which was in second place, like 2 different times in the race. Both times it was in second place. It spun out. First time, and it was able to finish the race, which was kind of cool, because not every car finishes the race, and you have to finish the race to be. It doesn't matter if you're 30 laps down. By finishing the race, you get a certain level of points.
Mhm.
Not finishing the race, you don't get those points.
Yeah,
So-
and how was Dover as a facility? There's a lot of history to Dover.
The Monster Mile.
It,
Yeah, Dover
It's-
Downs.
Interesting. So you can't get into the infield without having to be on one side of the track, and it's now they took down some of the grandstands, and they put up a casino on the one side. So it's that's interesting on its own and so. It looks like an old horse track.
It was. So
I know
that's
that.
why it was called Dover Downs originally. It was a horse track at one time.
So, and then they put the car track around it, and they still call the infield the horse track.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was, but you could tell that it was a horse track, that it was not initially a car track, and then they built the car track around it, and then they built all of the, because it used to have a lot more seating. From what I understand, it used to be able to hold over 100,000.
Yeah,
Now,
75, I think.
yeah, now it's at about 75,000, and I would say that it was still at about 70% capacity. That's where it was about 70-75%. It's
I think that's about half the seating it used to have, because I think it was like 130, 140,000 originally.
Wow.
Like it was a monster.
So, and I thought I remember an accident happening where a wheel jumped over the fence. May not have been at that track, but that's why I was like, well, because they were talking about, remember when they used to have the grandstands around turn 3? And I'm like, isn't that where they had the accident, where the smash up and the tire went flying over the fence and, I think killed a couple people.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was at Dover, but I mean, there's been times. I mean, that's why there's the fencing there. I remember. I want to say it was like probably 6-8 years ago now. Somebody got their car flipped, and the entire thing flew into the safety fence.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they now the safety fence held, right? Like the car remained in the track, but you can imagine that. Pieces were still raining down on people.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
And especially something like that, it's flying, so they're projectiles.
Oh,
Right.
no doubt.
So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, this isn't something I'm going to do on a weekly basis. I'm not that type of fanatic, but it was tremendous amount of fun. And I'm hoping maybe next year I'll get up to Pocono
Yeah.
and do maybe Pocono. Now, my first race that I ever did when I was on the infield was in Pocono. Whole different experience because it's a 2.5-mile triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, interestingly enough, only 3 turns of left rather than 4. And,
They call it a tri-oval.
yeah. And the infield's monstrous.
Yes.
But you can only see certain parts of the track. You can't see the entire
Right.
track unless you're up pretty high. So I got to imagine the spotters up there are way high and have binoculars and stuff like that.
They usually have more than one. They usually have more than one spotter.
So I
Well,
have to
there's a-
imagine that.
I mean, I guess when I think of the term spotters, I'm thinking like somebody on the rooftops in case somebody goes crazy, they take them out. But I'm sure there's a reason for a spotter. Is that like to follow the car, or what does
Every
spotter
team,
do?
so every team's got a spotter up there. I mean, I got to take a really good picture of all the teams right there. In fact, as I was doing my one video, the one spotter was like, well, like he started to get, it wasn't like upset. Like I took a small little portion of the track out of his vision, and he mentioned it, and then I got myself way out of the way. I was like, whoa, I'm not trying to disrupt anything here. I'm happy for the access. So then I moved out of the way, and that's where I was able to take a great picture of everybody's. You saw the back of everybody's head because everybody's looking at the track. But every team's up there so that they could tell you what's happening with the car behind you, what's going on, there was just an accident around this turn. Stay high or stay low and stuff like that.
It's also a safety thing because which is why he started to lose his mind a little bit if you were in his field of view. Because when you're in a race car, the seat actually comes around. They're wearing a Hans device. So you don't have a lot of mobility with your neck. You also don't have mirrors, right? So your spotter is your mirrors. So, at 180 miles an hour, if you are looking to come down the track a little bit, your spotter is like, hey, you got a car there. The nose is there so that you don't end up clipping a guy and spinning, right? Wrecking out of the race. So the spotters are incredibly important. And that is exactly why, if you were blocking some of his view, that's a problem, right? Because that means that's
100%.
That's a blind spot for the driver, right? And when you're at that speed, You don't want any blind spots because you already can't see. So,
Well, and like I said, it wasn't a, well, get this guy to frig out of here. It was just like,
Yeah.
yo, move. Like he's just like,
Yep.
okay, yeah, but and then I wasn't anywhere near his vision at all. You know what I mean? Because it was like, okay, this is what it is, and you know, I get it. These guys have a job to do. They need to see down, you know, because I was kind of blocking a portion of turn 2, is what
Oh,
what
yeah.
it was.
yeah, especially in corners, right? Because
Or
that's
maybe
where
maybe that was turn 1, because that's because you went down the straightaway. You had the starting line, and then I guess turn 1 is right there. So the first turn, and I was blocking a little bit of it, and that's, you know, I was like, oh, okay, that was enough for me to just like understand. Okay, you know what? Now I'm over here. I'm out of the way. This is, you know, do my video and then leave.
Yeah, I mean,
Because-
basically think of your spotter as an air traffic controller. That is basically the importance of their job.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. I didn't realize that was I mean, because I don't know much about racing either, so I guess I'm learning like everybody else is. But the fact that they got spotters that are their cameras, I got so you got to constantly be. I didn't know you couldn't move your head. I mean, that's got to be an uncomfortable thing to do. Driving a car, it's got to be uncomfortable.
I mean, it's
They have,
not
they have a padded neck brace. It's not. They have a padded neck brace.
Your focus is in front of you, right?
Mhm.
Because again, you're not traveling at like highway speeds.
No,
Right.
Right.
You're
No,
moving
no,
out.
exactly.
You don't really want to spend a lot of time in your mirrors. Now they do have a rear view mirror in the car, right? But outside of that, you wouldn't be able to use mirrors anyway. Like
Right.
if you're looking behind you, you're wrecking.
Right,
You know.
right.
So yeah, you're yeah. I mean, you need spotters, and no, it's really not that bad having your head. Like you can still move a little bit. Like it's not like it's concrete or anything, but you couldn't do this, right? You couldn't
Right.
check a blind spot or something like
But
that.
like you said, at 180 miles an hour, even if you did do that, like you said, you probably wreck into something.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
deep.
and again, that's why you have spotters, and they do relay the other information. Like there's a wreck on the field, there's debris, you know, stuff like that. So I mean, there's a lot of information that gets passed to the driver from those spotters.
Right. I mean, I can imagine, you know, all the communication and chemistry that we talk about in all of the other sports, you know, it's one thing, but you know, compared to like NASCAR or these high rates of speed, that communication has got to be 10 times even more important, especially like between you and that guy that's your spotter. I'm like, you guys got to be on point with each other.
Well,
Or
and
like you
it's
said,
funny
bad
because
things.
as the driver, you actually have a lot of people in your ear because you also have your crew chief that's relaying pit windows, tire wear, fuel consumption. Like all of these things are constant communication with the driver. So, I mean, there's a lot more talking in that car than you would think.
Yeah, but probably only 2 or 3 voices.
Yes.
You probably, because you can't inundate. You know, it's like I got to imagine you have your spotter. If there's more than one spotter, you have however many spotters because they all have to have direct lines to the car, and the crew chief, and that's it. Maybe. So the last race that I was at on the Monday, right next to us, because I was up in the suites again for that race, right next to us was a team that had their setup there. So they were in a suite with their setup. So they had, I guess, spotters there, you know, doing that. And but it was like there had 18 people on different headsets and stuff like that.
So you can actually do that.
And so anybody can get into and listen to what's going on.
They give you the frequency for all the teams, which is why if somebody is like cursing, they're like, "Hey, this is an open channel. Shut up." So, you know, it's but anybody can do that. So you'll see people in the stands with big headsets on, and they'll have the scanner so they can just jump between different frequencies and get the race team feed.
Yeah, so
That
I
is
mean,
wild.
I know that there's a lot, and it was cool to watch them do it because obviously each team has got a number of different frequencies because there's like 6 different people talking, but you could tell that they're not all talking to the driver. Like I said, there's only a couple of people that get into the driver, and that's got to be the crew chief, and then got to be, like I said, the spotters to be able to get right into that.
Scott, the spotters do have a direct line because yes, they do let them know about crashes, but they also let them know if they are if they have a car low, car high, stuff like that. So no, they do have a direct line with the drivers.
Hey guys, I gotta jump and take this call really quick.
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right, make sure you have your spotter.
So,
That's
but
interesting, though. That's
overall,
interesting.
very, very cool and exciting to watch. It really was a lot more fun than I expected it to be. And the Philly Sports Guy was also well received down there. It was like there was a lot of people who knew who I was, and they're like, "Oh my God, you do NASCAR too?" And I'm like, "This is my first one doing this like this." And they're like, "Oh, who you rooting for?" I'm like, "Today I learned."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no sense in trying to root for somebody specific. Today I just learned. I hope that there are a couple of accidents and that a winner and there's a winner. That's all I care about.
If you want to feel the power of some motors, though, you got to go to the NHRA drags.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever gone, but the NHRA drags, like if you felt the power from the NASCAR engines, imagine one with more than twice the horsepower. So some of those top fuel dragsters, the supercharger requires 400 horsepower to turn. Like just to spin the supercharger would take 400 horsepower. Half people's cars don't even produce it.
Right.
So I mean, you're talking, and of course, you got flames coming out of the pipes and stuff like that. So if you've never gone to the drags, you have to go sometime. You will want to bring some of your protection. It is no joke.
Yeah, but, that's a lot louder. And they, interestingly enough, I was going to mention that. So I have a couple of friends. The one local parts store around here, son does NHRA, and they have their second car now, which is that supercharger that they have that he's got. He's like, listen, he goes, this one, and it's a nice car. It's got the big tires. It goes all the way down to the taper, which looks like bicycle wheels almost in the front.
Oh, okay. So he's got a rail. Yeah.
So he's got and he's like, this simple, easy, blah, blah, blah. That one, no, that's like really complicated and all this other stuff.
Yep.
They're going to bring it out. They've been bringing these cars out for when Ridley Park does their Dining Under the Stars or First Fridays. So I'm hoping that the beginning of next month I get to see what that car looks like, because it is amazing. And I am going to get to them and go do it with them. So the Philly Sports Guy is going to go to an NHRA race and kind of watch that. They were showing that on the screen on the television in the suites, and a lot more accidents. Well, not accidents, a lot more explosions.
Yeah. So funny enough, when you're looking at the top fuelers, if you look at the engine construction, there will be giant straps that go over the heads, right? And for those that aren't car people watching, there's the main block, and then the heads are where the valves and everything are. The combustion chamber can get hot enough that it'll blow the heads off, and those straps are there to keep them from basically ejecting into the crowd. So when they blow up, like they blow up.
Well, hey, on those engines, are they 8-cylinder or are they more than 8-cylinder on those dragsters?
Typically 8, yeah.
Typically 8-cylinder. Okay.
Yeah, they're massive though. Like they're.
Oh yeah, right.
Pistons or coffee cans, like they're. But
what kind of spark plug? Is it the same spark plug?
A lot of them have a different style of ignition, but I mean, they still kind of have a spark plug. Some of them,
and I guess they're fuel injected, correct? I mean, they're not on carburetor, right? I mean, they're fuel injected still style engine. Or they use different.
It depends on the level of racing. Some of them are injected. Some of them still have a carb.
Okay, that's cool though, man. I call him like I wonder like what is the heat inside those NASCAR vehicles? Like, what is the heat like inside? They got to be burning up in that thing, right?
It's a quarter mile, man. Like,
When then in NASCAR,
oh,
Yeah, no,
NASCAR.
no, no. I was talking about NASCAR. No,
Oh,
when
NASCAR's
you're
hot.
in those suits and those helmet, and you're in that car. I mean, there's no AC.
So,
I got to imagine.
so the hottest race that I had, it was about 128 in my car.
Okay. Oh, you drove a NASCAR?
I drove at the local track. Yeah.
That's
but you
cool.
plug
I
your
mean, that's
suit
cool though.
into the car, right? So
What's
that
that?
you actually get airflow through your suit from like a cold air intake. Do you not?
I can tell you it doesn't really do much because outside air temperature on the track is hot.
It's hot. Yeah, but
Right.
I figure because it's scooping it up a little bit and it's just getting some airflow in there, it might be a little cooler than it being 140 degrees.
Yeah, it's just basically moving hot air. Like it's not. There's a lot that I don't know. I can only speak of things that I've done. But yeah, no, it's even with the airflow coming into the car, like it makes no difference at all. Like you are just sweating. Like
Yeah, I'm
nothing.
about to say you got to be sweating your ass off in that.
Oh
thing.
yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. A ton of fun. You know,
Right.
I'd go do it again tomorrow. It was a blast, but it's an expensive thing to do. So
yeah, I know that ain't cheap.
no, you have to find sponsors and like it's a lot.
Bro, how much is the actual those NASCARs? I mean, how much of those actual cars? Like, what is their worth? Like to build one of those, how much would it run?
So if you were building like a cup car, right? Like a top level NASCAR, you know, cup series car, you know, if you're going to be competitive, you're $500,000 a car.
Yeah.
And that's a basic setup. That wouldn't be like, you know, all of the engineering that ends up going into it. But yeah, you'll be 300,000 to 500,000 into a car, no problem.
So I'd imagine with all that other, I guess, other engineering you're talking about, I would imagine it probably goes up to what, even 800 to $1 million, depending on how, I guess, what you're putting in.
You can have $1 million into a car.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
Just
including all the
extra
engineering time.
all the extra extra things. I mean,
Mhm.
I first off, I found out that tires aren't as expensive as you would think that they are. They're just multiple. So you're paying for, most times you're carrying what, 16 tires at all times?
Yeah, at a minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I remember watching one car at pit and it was taking a long time for it to pit. And they put two tires on. It went around twice, came back in a pit, and they changed the same two tires.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, especially because you can end up with things like, you know, in NASCAR for sure, because you're door to door racing, you can tweak fenders and stuff a little bit. So you'll throw a set of tires on and then you'll get out there. And because they're not worn at all, now they're rubbing against the fender. Well, now it's creating an issue with the tire. You got to come right back in, yank that thing off. So yeah, you're talking about, you know, tires that are a few grand a piece that you got a lap out of because your fender snagged it.
A few grand. I can't even imagine that. A few grand a piece. I mean, that's expensive stuff, man. Dang.
Oh yeah.
that's why they have.
I'm
all
over here
those
freaking out when I got to
extra
spend $250 a tire, and you're talking about a grand or more a tire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why sponsoring a race car is no joke. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's major
for sure.
conglomerates that do that. That's not your local, you know, car dealership.
Sure. No, absolutely, absolutely.
And the owner of the team was Joe Gibbs. So that, to bring it all home again, it was we were close, and I was able to get a couple of pictures of him, not really with him. And I wanted to just go up and ask a question to him. My question would have been, how different is this in between coaching a team to the Super Bowl and coaching a NASCAR team to try to win not just a race, but the cup?
Or the trophy? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because Hamlin's won 4 races so far this year. He's the top guy. He actually took over the top spot with the win in this race. So, so there was a lot that happened yesterday, but I did not get a chance to ask that question, which
No,
Would have
it'd
been
be a good one.
amazing. That because I figured that there's got to be some similarities and some distinct differences,
Right.
obviously because it's
So
motorsports.
Hamlin is part of the Gibbs racing team.
Yes, and
Okay.
so was the number 19 car, who I'm not sure who that was, but I know that it was Bass Motorsports or whatever it is. Bass,
Right.
the Bass
Oh,
with
like Bass Pro Shop. Yeah,
Bass Pro Shop was the lead sponsor for them.
I got you.
MJ has a NASCAR team, doesn't? I think Bubba Wallace, I think, is even on his team. Is that right?
I think MJ is part owner with Gibbs.
Is he? Okay.
I think so, because somebody had mentioned that Hamlin has got a business with Jordan. I'm like, what? Like, hold on, he's in business with Michael Jordan? I said that out
Okay,
loud.
Right.
So his race team right now is Denny Hamlin, number 11, Christopher Bell, number 20, Martin Truex Jr., 19, and Ty Gibbs, number 54.
So 20 was in the top spot and in second a lot of the race.
Mhm.
The 19 car was there and then wound up going back down to 7th and then like 12th and then back up again. Like you're either in the top or you're in the bottom.
Right.
Is kind of how I look at that. And for a good amount of time, the number 9 car was like way in the lead, way in the lead, and then fell off. So I'm not exactly sure what had occurred with that, but yeah, it was just really kind of interesting. And I know that you get certain amount of points for leading 1 lap, for leading 5 laps. I think from 5 to however winning a stage, you get points. So it was like because the number 9 car won the first stage, the number 11 car won the second stage. 11 car I think was Denny Hamlin, and then he won the race.
Yeah, number 11's Hamlin. And the other thing, it's something that you'll see because you're trying to win a championship, right? Like some of it's points driven, although now with the playoff situation, you do kind of have to win a race somewhere during the year. But the points still matter. So you'll see scenarios where, say there's a caution that comes out and you'll see a car stay out a lap longer than everybody. It's because they want that lead a lap 5 points. Because all the points matter. So you go out there and you're just like, okay, everybody's pitting. We're going to stay out one more time, get that lap lead, and then come in and pit. Because, you'll just filter back to where you were, but you get those points for leading a lap.
Makes sense. I get that. Like you guys talked about stages. Is there X number of laps that makes up a stage?
Yeah, so basically they've taken racing from being a 3-hour event that was, 500 miles. So, depending on the track, depends on how many laps. Now they've turned it into stage racing, which actually mirrors more of what you see at local tracks. And so they've taken that 500-mile race and they've broken it into 2 or 3 segments.
Okay.
And so that's how the stages are. They just call them stages. But basically they've broken up what used to be a 3-hour marathon of a race and broke it into 2 to 3 sections.
So yesterday, the first stage was 120 laps. The second stage was at 130 laps. And third stage was at the end of the race. So 400 laps because it was only a 400-mile race. And it's a mile around the track. Yep. So literally it was 120, 130, 150. And that's kind of how they split it up. They didn't stop. So it's not hey, red flag out, we're going to stop the cars.
So they do on some tracks.
But they might, not on Dover. Okay. So at Dover, that goes to a caution. So at 120, the caution flag came out and everybody, they're still going around and they go around 8 laps. So it's like, but they reposition themselves and they get themselves back closer together so that at the very beginning of that, it's all one bunch. So we kept going out for the restarts.
Oh, okay.
because that's where you could really feel the power. And I have some videos where you just have one section of fencing and you're watching the car, zoom, 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 like just
Oh yeah.
passing it. And it's really kind of cool to watch. That like I thought about it some more.
Mhm.
I may have tried to do it on my phone where you do the slow motion,
Oh sure.
so that it's like zoom, 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 but even that would have been fast.
Oh, it would have been fast. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, did you go down and walk up to the fence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's nothing quite like that. If you're right, I mean, you don't actually see anything, right?
Right.
If you're right there, but to really get the appreciation for how fast those cars are going and the sound, you're so used to the sound of a car like on the road or the highway, or it's like, right?
Right.
Well, it happens in a split second in front of you, and it's so loud. I mean, it's an experience all of its own. So if you ever make it to a track where
Well, I'm gonna
cars
make it to
doing
one.
150, 180, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it really is. And you like I said, you could feel it. You can feel it in the in your chest and in your body and stuff like that when that's going by. Like I said, I didn't have an ear protection, so it wasn't like if I had my earbuds and I was going to try to do that and try to talk in the earbuds, but I know anybody who's ever talked to me on my earbuds, you hear everything else around me. You don't
Yeah.
really hear me.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is not going to work this way. So I'm literally yelling at my phone like this a little bit to talk so that you could hear me and then still get the hearing. You hear the cars and stuff that was going on. It really was a great experience. Like I
There's
said, I
no
really recommend
recording that gives you the feel of standing next to the track, though.
But I say you got to. That's something you just got to be there for. It sounds like to me.
Well, and that's why I brought up the NHRA is
Right.
when you go to that, make sure that you get the pass that you can go everywhere, and you're going to want to watch races from a few different spots. One of them you're going to watch like mid track, and it blowing past you is crazy how much air pressure there is on you as it goes by. So, but then you'll want to go and be behind the cars. Now, if you're real close, especially for the nitromethane cars,
you'll singe your eyebrows.
Well, I mean, they don't let you quite that close, but it will become a little bit hard to breathe because there's not a lot of oxygen right there. But them taking off is pretty crazy. And it's funny because you'll think the noise is how loud it is when they do their tire burnout, right? But that's actually only about a quarter throttle for them. And then once they heat them tires up, they line up and then they go. It's a whole different animal, the amount of noise and air pressure that comes off those cars. So anybody watching, if you've never been to the NHRA drags or a NASCAR race, you have to go because it's an experience.
Well, isn't the NHRA, and you're talking about the air moving through the engine actually breaks the sound barrier?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they're getting down the track at a little over 300 miles an hour in a quarter mile, and they're doing that quarter mile in like right at just under 4 seconds, something like that. So I mean, it's pretty ridiculous to go from a stop through the quarter mile at 313 miles an hour.
Right.
And I gotta imagine the torque on those back tires has got to be stupid.
Well, they're wrinkle walls, so you'll actually see the rubber twist as they load up and take off. So I mean, it's
that's insane. That is pretty cool.
Imagine a blowout on that thing.
The wrecks are pretty massive when they do blow one up. And the other thing that is kind of ridiculous is, John Force's team, during the drags, a lot of times theirs is kind of up front, easy to see, right? Just because he's one of the most famous drag racers ever, right?
Right.
When they pulled those cars back out, they actually are removing massive components. Like they're replacing all the clutches in the transmission. Some of them are swapping heads, retuning all of the fuel systems in between runs.
Wow.
How do they do it so damn fast? Is it like, are there like quick connects or something that makes them easier to come off than having to?
You can't do that. They produce way too much horsepower to have like stuff that just.
No,
pops apart.
I'm not saying that they do. I'm just saying, like, is there something like that that makes it easier to get them apart versus?
Not really. I think the thing that makes it the easiest to get it apart is it's not a passenger car that has a bunch of crap built to do it. So, you know, a lot of these cars, you know, especially for like John Force, he races a funny car. Well, the whole body of the car pops up.
Right.
So you're right on top of the motor. And then you also have an entire crew of guys. And this isn't a car that's been driven around for 30,000 miles, like rusting those bolts in place. They had them apart 15 minutes ago.
Right.
So, I mean, you're running through, but the kind of cool thing about it is because they're replacing all the clutches and everything for the transmissions in between those races, John Force, I don't know if he still does, but he used to sign the clutch plates and give them to people.
Oh, that's
Right.
awesome.
Let me ask this question though, because especially when it comes to the NHRA, how quickly do those engines cool down? Like, so you're talking about switching stuff out between races, and I'm saying that by the time they've run that first race, that engine's already like probably operating at somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 1,000 degrees. You ain't throwing cold water on that to cool it down.
No. I mean, they don't let them get that hot though, because you start. I mean, they still have cooling systems because metal starts to warp at temperatures like that. Right?
Yeah, it's just say. I figured that it's fairly hot, so it's like, but to be able to cool them down quick enough so that you'd be able to work on it and take it all apart and put it back together again, like because the parts that you have out are cool, but everything else is going to be hot.
That's a good point.
It's, you know, I got to imagine, like I said, you can't cool it down with water because that thing will shatter and crack.
Yeah, no. It's they have full on cooling systems in the cars. I mean, you can't let those components get that hot because I mean stuff starts to melt, right? Like you got sensors and aluminum components, and I mean you get into that 800 degree with aluminum, it's a wrap.
Well,
so,
especially with one small crack.
Yeah,
one small crack is everything explodes.
Yeah, no, exactly. And exactly. Talented pit crews. There's also the pit crews are big, right? Like you got like a bunch of dudes. So, you know, it was one thing that was kind of cool when I owned my auto repair shop is I was a Napa Auto Care Center. And so in that role, they used to send me to the drags every year. And so I used to, you know, be in Ron Cap's pit area all the time. And one thing that was kind of cool is I got to race him in go-karts one year. Napa was like, "Oh, we're going to send you to race this guy." I'm like, "Let's go." So, but yeah, no, I mean, there's so much that goes into that racing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's pretty amazing.
Like I said, I haven't been to one of those races yet, so that's going to be a lot of fun when I get to go do that. And you know, I can't imagine that I could stay very long behind one of those cars because it'll just melt everything off my face, quite literally.
So you won't get any of the heat off the car. Now it'll be a hot day out, and so it'll just be hot everywhere because it's all blacktop, right?
Right.
But you won't be quite there. You know, you'll be able to walk up all around them as they stage, and then they'll pull forward, they'll do their tire burnout. And at that point, they're about, 50 yards away. So you're not going to necessarily get any heat off the car, but you will get the smell of the nitromethane for the methane cars, obviously.
I figured it's all exhaust. That's what's going to be the hot.
Right.
No, so it's kind of not though, because the exhaust pipes are generally facing up. They're not facing back.
Got you.
Because you literally have flames kicking out the pipes. So
Right.
they don't have, flamethrowers behind the car. They tend to shoot up out the sides.
Why is that? Why do they? Well, I understand because now you don't want to melt the tires if it's shooting out the back. That's
Well, and
probably
the
the whole
people,
purpose.
you
Well,
know,
People are replaceable. We're good.
but they don't have igniters on there that make it turn to fire, right? Or is it's just automatically it's shooting
no.
out the fire?
That's basically just how big the explosion is inside the combustion chamber, and how aggressive the timing is. So there actually is some power not utilized in the
Right.
ignition timing of that, especially when they're not at full throttle. That ignition timing is a little bit advanced, so it's popping off a little bit early, and then as soon as they're on it, that's where they're getting the most out of their fuel efficiency. But I mean, at an idle, they sound like they're barely running, right? Like they're right. So it's and that all has to do with ignition timing and stuff.
Got you.
That is
Yeah.
incredible. I was wondering, when you grew up as a kid, right? Basketball, baseball, football, whatever. Those are pretty affordable sports for people, But I'm wondering, like, personally, if you want to say, man, I really want to be a NASCAR driver, or I want to be NHRA driver, or whatever the case may be. What would, if you're a kid, what would be even like? How would you even get into something like that? Because it is such an expensive sport. Where would you get the driver's trainer, or that kind of stuff?
I'm going to take a guess first before I have you answer this. I'm going to say you have to grow up as a young mechanic and start learning your way around normal cars in general, and then just stick around the track to start to pay attention to these guys, and then start to work your way up into some of that stuff. I got to imagine as a mechanic, and especially as a young mechanic, you would be able to start picking stuff up and start setting up the relationships so that it's less expensive to be able to deal with that.
So there was a point in time that would have been true. About that would be 60 years ago. The way it is today, most of those kids actually get their start in go-kart racing, and then they go to dirt track, and then they go to mini stocks and figure eights, and then they slowly work their way up to pro stock, and then the NASCAR K&N series, and then continue to grow, maybe ARCA series, stuff like that, until they get to where they're on the national stage. But yeah, there was a time early on in NASCAR, stuff like that. It was a lot of mechanics that
even to go down that route that you're saying, Bo, is I'm wondering, like, where does a kid that wants to do something like this, even to get in like those, I guess somebody's funding it is what I'm saying, right? Somebody is funding you to be able to get into these vehicles, because you don't have the money to just get into these vehicles, right? So
it's usually the kid's parents, which is why it usually starts off with things like go-karts and dirt track and stuff like that. Because then as you start to win those series at a younger age, you get to start then getting sponsorship that then starts to propel you forward into the next level of racing. And each level you go, the more expensive it becomes.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I was just curious. I was like, man, how do they do? How are you just, because it's not that somebody's just gonna give you a $500,000 or $1 million car. There's got to be some kind of progression, and
no, there's a lot of lower stages that happen before you get into like Busch or Cup or anything like that. Like that's the elite of the elite.
I have a buddy who's still competes in the ARCA series.
Yeah, we talked to him.
Yeah, the problem becomes is that because he's a Seattle fan. It's still in, you still got to have about $500,000 of sponsorships to be able to compete at that level. That somebody's got to go out there and make the money to be able to put on the car.
Yeah, well, and the other thing to keep in mind is you need to have more than one car, because otherwise, if somebody tears you up during a race, your season would be over if you don't.
Right.
So I mean once you get to the full on top end NASCAR guys, they usually have 5-6 cars. But I mean, even the low level racing that I did, if someone would have ever like just totally taken my car out, it'd have been a wrap, season over, because I didn't have another car. Now, I was a mechanic and was able to fix whatever people would bang into it. But if somebody would have like full on taken me out, it'd have been game over because I didn't have another car.
How often does that happen? How often does that happen? Because obviously, when you're up at NASCAR, at the NASCAR level,
yeah,
you're on a team. Joe Gibbs owns those cars, and he pays those drivers to drive those cars. Yep. He doesn't. He's not. Yeah, like I said, he's the guy who owns all of that. That's why he's got Michael Jordan as a partner, I would assume.
Yeah.
You know, because it costs a tremendous amount of money to be able to make all that occur. I guess my question is, if you're the guy that has one car, and somebody knows that, then you're doing well in that series for a little while.
Take him out.
There could be an owner that says, all right, we're going to.
Yeah. So you might end up with someone that does that. The race community isn't big, right? So
well, the polices itself, I would think, but
a little bit. And if somebody if somebody takes you out, a lot of other race teams will try to help you. Right? Like maybe somebody has a roller that doesn't have an engine. They're like, hey, you know what? We'll sell you this one for what we have in it, you know, trying to help you get back on the track. You know, my last year racing, somebody came and stole my racing seat out of my car. And, you know, other race teams were like, hey, we have an extra seat if you want to use it till the end of the season. And, you know, so, I mean, the racing community is, for the most part, actually pretty cool with each other. There's always, you know, one or two that you're just like, yeah, I'd love to put you in the wall every race I can. But for the most part, no.
And that just has to do with egos on drivers, not necessarily his team. You know
exactly. Yeah. Well, and there's just some dirty drivers, right? So, I mean, think of it like, you know, think of it NFL terms. Most players in the league, cool. But then you get guys like Sue that, even though he's a great player, would also step on you.
Yeah.
Right? And so there are some of those drivers. Like there's some of those guys that are just out there. They don't necessarily have the talent to get around you, so they'll wreck you.
Got you.
So I know at the NASCAR level, we already talked, that's about $500,000 to $1 million. At the stage where you were, maybe on the more amateur circuits, as you're coming up, how much? Yeah. What would be the price range of those type of cars if you wanted to get into something like that or build a car like that?
So if you are looking at something a little beyond what I was doing, but probably more fitting for the conversation, if you were looking at the late model or pro stocks, you're probably you probably have like 30 to 50K into those cars. But to win those races, you're not making any money. Like you have to get sponsorship, because just like anything else, yeah, the cars are less, but the prizes are less too.
Right.
So
and then, like you said, the maintenance on those things, or if somebody takes you out, that's a lot of money that you're not going to be able to replenish into a car like that.
Yeah, I mean, if they twist your car up, I mean, you're pulling hard parts out, like you're yanking the motor and the trans and stuff like that. But, you know, a lot of those, as soon as they bend the cage up, that's it. You're throwing that. It's scrap metal at that point.
Yeah. Interesting. Learned a lot about NASCAR I didn't know about, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Bizarre to have a full NASCAR show. Did not see that coming.
Did not either. Brought to you by Pags and his yellow Navy shirt that he says is not Navy.
I mean, it says Under Armour on the front of it.
Like, I know. I'm just teasing them. For those people that are out there real quick that know Navy t-shirts, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I mean, it's just every highway worker has that shirt without the Under Armour logo. Like, what are you talking about? If you've been watching along with us, thanks.
No, this was a good show. I think that this was,
It was a great show.
we talked about sports, except it was auto racing sports.
I gotta be honest with you. Anybody watching this show today that didn't know anything about NASCAR, like myself, pretty much, you learned something. So it's a hell of a good show.
I
absolutely.
felt like I was teaching.
No,
Feel like
it
I
was
learned
a great show. It was a great show. I got to change the description of it now, but that being said, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again for tuning in. We are going to get out of here. We will see y'all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.